Om Shanti. How are you all? Today we are going to see why Hindu gods are always shown as pairs: Shiva, Parvati, Vishnu, Lakshmi, Brahma, Saraswati. Not only that, you will also be seeing this peculiar scene of the goddess sitting on the lap of their husbands. We don't usually see husband wives sitting on their husbands' laps in public. No matter which part of the world we belong to, we don't see that anywhere. But in temple where everybody visits, we see these statues of Lakshmi sitting on the lap of Vishnu, Parvati sitting on the lap of God Shiva, right in front of everybody in a very big form. So our eyes don't miss it. So what are they trying to say? Because it means it has something very deeply spiritual about it. What is that? That is something we are going to reveal today in this video. Why is it anybody gets married, whether it's male or female? So they always need someone to look after them. So they need that company. That's the main reason, number one reason for getting married, right? But irrespective of that, there is no guarantee that one you get married with is going to live forever, is going to be in healthy condition till her or his death, that he or she is going to remain loyal to you till the end. So there's no guarantee about that. But still we do get married to them. Not only the marriage relationship, any sort of relationship, whether it's parent-child, husband-wife, brothers and sisters, no relation is permanent. Everything is perishable. Everything will at one point will definitely make you cry, either due to cheating or due to their death. But still we go on with those relationships with perishable men. But God says during the end of the world, because he comes just 100 years before the end of the world, he enters an old man's body and informs us about the destruction of the world in advance, so that we can prepare ourselves to face the end of the world without getting fear. How is it possible for someone to face the end of the world or the end of his own without getting afraid? So God reveals a secret that is filled with happiness. What is that? The end of this world is going to open the gate to the new world called heaven. Yes, this world is going to be converted to heaven, like it was before 5,000 years. Yes, God, it is a 5,000 year time cycle. God always comes in the end to reveal this secret and makes us eligible to enter heaven. God says, while we were in the heaven 5,000 years back, we were called deities. For the first 2,500 years, the world was heaven, filled with happiness, peacefulness, wealth, health, whatever you imagine. heaven is filled with that. So we were ever blissful, ever peaceful, not only we humans, but also other living organisms. And we were called deities, and those deities are still being worshipped by Hindus. So those deities, after taking several rebirths, after completing 2500 years, they become ordinary humans, and this world, which was originally heaven, becomes hell, filled with pain and sufferings. Why? Because we become body consciousness after becoming the residents of hell. While we were in heaven, we were soul conscious, which means we considered ourselves to be the souls that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows. That is why Hindus has this habit of wearing a red dot called bindi in between the eyebrows. So we are that. We naturally had this feeling that we are souls. For the first 2500 years, we had this soul consciousness. But after that, we forgot that we are originally souls. Instead, we considered ourselves to be this perishable body, because of which we become slaves for the senses and sensual pleasures. So we become addicted to the 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. These vices are collectively called Satan or Maya or Ravan. So it is Satan's kingdom, which is why whatever we see, it is filled with nothing but sorrow. It's quite opposite to that of heaven. And the reason for that is because we became body conscious. So God comes in the end, He enters an old man's body because He couldn't take birth like us as a child. So He enters an old man's body and He names him Brahma, and He starts giving this knowledge called Murli, which is available in all Raja Yoga meditation centers, and also now it is available online in all websites and many YouTube videos, the link of which we will be giving in the description below this video. So do make use of it, because the Murli is available in all languages. So now it is these 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, that causes pain and suffering. So we need to get rid of that to enter heaven, because to enter heaven we need to inculcate the qualities that we possessed when we were in heaven, that is purity, peacefulness, blissfulness. So that's actually the true nature of a soul, but that is covered by these 5 vices. So we need to destroy these vices. There is only one way to do that, that is to remember the God who is always peaceful and blissful and pure in nature. So this God is called God Shiva by Hindus, and Heavenly Godfather by Christians, and Allah by Muslims. God is one. So we need to remember Him as a point of light, because He is also a soul just like us. Only difference is we enter this birth and death cycle, God stays away from this cycle. So the place He resides is a golden red colored light world. So we need to remember God as a tiny star that shines in the golden red colored sky. That is all we need to do. And also before that, we need to consider ourselves to be the soul that is separate from this body. The soul operates this body. That's the only relation between the body and the soul. We are not this body. We need to make sure of this by continuously repeating it to ourselves. And also we need to listen to Murli daily and churn over the knowledge points given in the Murli as much as possible throughout the day. By doing so, what happens is the soul regains its power that it possessed initially. Now it has lost all of its power by getting addicted to these 5 vices. So the more we remember God, the more the souls accumulate its power from God. So for that, we need to establish close relationship with God. Only then we cannot forget. Can anybody forget their father, their husband or wife? They can't, right? So that is the main reason we need to consider God as our father or our husband. So usually girl gets married to a man that is superior to her, right? So God is ever superior to everybody. So He is our husband. So this is a soul to soul relationship, not the body relationship. So you need to consider God as our husband. So we need to stay always with our husband. That is the reason they have shown Parvati Devi sitting on the lap of God Shiva. Why? Because God Shiva is one. All the souls are Parvati Devis. But not everybody gets to sit on his lap. Only those who are ardent enough to be with God always in their mind get to sit on his lap, which means they always stay with God through their mind. So that means they are sitting on God's lap. God says, always be seated on my heart's throne, so that Maya won't attack you. Because by sitting next to God as his wife, we will start expressing the qualities of God, because we know that we are his wife. If God is my husband, then how can I have lust for these perishable humans? How can I get angry on my own kids? Because all humans are kids of God Shiva, who is my husband. So if they are children of God Shiva, then obviously they are my children. How can I ever hate them? So I will never express devilish qualities. Instead, I will always express divine qualities as long as I remember that I am sitting next to God Shiva. I am equal to God Shiva. That is the main reason they have shown Parvati sitting on God Shiva, Mahalakshmi sitting on Mahavishnu. So here, if you are sitting next to God Shiva, what it means is God Shiva doesn't have a body on its own. So obviously, if you are equal to him, means that we don't have a body either, which means we have come out of the body consciousness. So what remains is just a soul. So soul has just one relationship, that is God. It's related only to God. So we establish all relationships only with God. He is my father, he is my mother, he is my sister, he is my brother, he is my friend, he is my kid, he is my grandkid, he is my grandfather. Whatever relationship you imagine, God is that relationship to me. If I put it in a sentence, God is my world. That's it. So I sit with God, I eat with God, I drink with God, I bathe with God. So I do everything with God. Now, everything I see, it reminds me only of God. I see nothing but God Shiva everywhere. So, obviously, we can easily get out of these 5 vices because we no longer see this world. Because if we see this world through these physical eyes, obviously we will have vicious thoughts, either lustful or angry or attachment or jealousy. These kind of thoughts will automatically arise. But if I see only God, so only the divine thoughts arise, thereby I become fully divine before the end of the world. So I need not worry about the destruction of the world, because I know deep inside that this destruction leads to the entrance of heaven. So that itself is the happiest news for me, while the rest of the world, they fear the end of the world. So it is by being seated on God's lap all the time, no matter what you do, you can conquer vices, because these vices, they have no strength to appear before you when you are seated with God, when you are equal to God. But if you get out of His lap and come to the ground, then the Maya will catch hold of you. So we should never get down His lap. So that is what represented in Mahabharat war, where at one point Karan's chariot loses its wheel. So Karan gets down to make it correct. At that time, Lord Krishna commands Arjuna to shoot arrow at him, at Karna. Karna all of a sudden gets frightened, and he says, he asks Arjun to get down on the ground to fight with him, because he is already in the ground. Now Krishna says, don't get down. So what it actually represents is, we should never get down the heart throne of God Shiva. If we get down, which means we become body conscious, because body is made of these 5 elements, especially earth, right? That is what they have mentioned as get to the ground, never get to the ground. That is why they say angels' feet doesn't rest on the earth. So maybe our body is in this earth, but our mind always flies with God in the supreme abode, where God always resides, where we will be flying soon after we leave this body, and from there we will be taking birth as soon as the heaven begins. As long as we are sitting next to God Shiva, we will see everybody as souls, because God always sees us as souls. So we know the true nature of all souls is purity and blissfulness and peacefulness. Because they become body conscious, they express these devilish qualities. Just because they express devilish qualities doesn't mean that we need to express the same, because we are God's wives, God's children. So we need to remember that. The easy way to remember that is to be seated next to God Shiva, or visualize yourself as Parvati or Mahalakshmi all the time. You can keep the picture of Lakshmi and Vishnu sitting together, or Parvati and Shiva sitting together in front of you, so that you can always churn over this point so that you don't get cheated by Maya. So all the best in your journey to enter heaven as soon as possible. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit on the like button and share this video with all your friends and relatives and leave your valuable comments. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Thanks again for watching this video.